Okay, now that we have the body glued together, and because we let that glue set so long, it's quite together good. In the instructions they recommend you taping it and doing all that, but no, we won't need to here. We're going to go right to work on the rudder. So, things been glued together. You see the rudder on here, so we have to cut the rudder off. Again, cutting closest to the airplane. Here we go, and voila, we've cut the rudder off. Set the body aside. It should dry overnight. I've got my rudder here now. Got my trusty wooden block. And again, we're going to sand that angle into it. Check. Back here. Oh yeah, that's a good one. There. Here. We're done. Okay. There, now the rudder is ready to be mounted with. So, we have the rudder and the airplane. But we have to wait, it's okay. Set it down. Now, when we're marking the rudder for the elevator, we've got to keep the hinges high, okay? So we'll put one hinge up here, the other hinge just above the seam here, right here, okay? See those two locations for the hinges. This is quite important. You have to use these two locations for the hinges. Right there, and right there. Don't go too low. If you go too low with the hinge, you won't be able to connect it. We have to put landing or a steerable tail wheel on here. So now that I got that done, put that aside. We're going to this one, and cut this one. We're not going to cut the ones in the plane until the glue dries a bit on that seam we did. I get two more of my test paper. Oh, there it goes. Test fit my paper. And glue it in. Now we'll glue it in here because we've got more work to do on this. We'll have to put that steerable tail wheel to connect to the rudder so that one more hinge. There we go. The hinges are in the rudder. That's good. Let that dry for a bit. While we're here, the kit gives you these 4 little hard pieces of plastic. Right? And we gotta glue them to the airplane. What I recommend is on the back of them, you gotta glue them, take an X-Acto knife and cut some lines in them, some grooves. They're really a shiny plastic and they don't like to stick that well. So if you scratch them on the back, put some grooves in them with your knife, they have a tendency to glue way better to the styrofoam. Otherwise they just they do come off, I find, if you don't mark up the back side. Now that I got the back side of them all marked, remember that that's the side I have to put down. The fuselage, you can use epoxy, but I'm using the free glue they give me. I put these on these spots here. Then with the scratchy side down, I put a little plastic piece in each of those spots. You could use it like contact cement again, but they stay. They seem to work good that way. They're all they're there for is to screw your cowl to and hold the little plastic cowl to. You drill holes in them and they hold the screws. Doesn't say the styrofoam. We'll set that aside to dry now, and we'll be back in a bit. Okay, here we are. Now, just an example. We're going to cut the holes and place our servos for the ailerons here. So I have my two 8-gram servos. They're both going to go about there. So we'll measure in from this edge. Now, here's a point. Turn the wing over. We see where they had the stock location for the aileron. Okay? There's right here, which is, if we go over this way, about starting at 10, 20, 30, 40, 45. Say 45 millimeters up on the wing. Okay? When we come over here, we want to make sure that our servo placement is at least that 45 millimeters up from that edge, because that's going to leave our servos near the C and G of the airplane and the stock location in the wing, so we don't have to adjust a lot to do with center of gravity later. We'll look after that right now. Now, see that I made? That's where the other servo started. So these ones have to go there. Now, to make it easy, I say this line here, straight up, is where you can mark for your servo. Okay? So I've got that spot located there. Now, I'm not going to mark around it. I'm going to use my X-Acto. I'm going to do a little bit of cutting, just so I can see the lines. Okay? Okay, we don't cut the wires. Okay, so there. Now you can see little square. Locate this servo, same side here. These holes are going to be custom fit because we want to sink these servos down into the wing. So now, I sort of have the two holes marked on the wing where I'm going to cut out for the servos.